Hey, Eagle fans! Your Statesboro Walmart is your one-stop shop for all your Georgia Southern football and game day needs. Pick up your GSU sports gear here. We have t-shirts, hats, tote bags, koozies, stadium bleacher seats, car spirit flags, wall pennants, beads, and more right here at the best prices in town. Also, don't forget we can handle all of your tailgating needs with our great food trays, baked goods, and fresh, high-quality meat, seafood, and chicken.
Walmart. Save money. Live better. Walmart.
On this week's show, the Georgia Southern men's basketball team prepares for the Sun Belt tournament where they'll be the number 2 seed. We'll also check in with Georgia Southern baseball. All that and more as we welcome you inside the Eagles Nest. And welcome inside the Eagles Nest. I'm your host, Josh Aubrey, being joined by Mike Anthony from the Statesboro Herald. And Mike, basketball behind us. Georgia Southern trying to do something that they haven't done since 1992, and that is to advance to the big dance. They have the Sun Belt tournament coming up this week in New Orleans. Before we get to that, let's talk about how they've done this season. A lot of people had them picked as low as 10th in the league, maybe even 11th. They finish off number 2 seed in the upcoming tournament, win 21 games. Pretty impressive, but I think both of us saw the potential and thought we wouldn't be shocked to see Georgia Southern finish in the top 2 or 3 in the league.
Well, with only 8 teams getting into the Sun Belt Conference tournament, a lot of those prognosticators probably didn't think the Eagles would still be playing right now. But you're correct, Josh. I think that we all saw the talent, a little bit bigger team than the Eagles have put on the floor in past seasons. Eric Ferguson healthy this year. The addition of Trent Wiedemann, very big inside for the Eagles, as was the development of Angel Matias. Unfortunately, he's sidelined. He won't be playing anymore this year, but he was a big reason in why the Eagles caught fire in January, got to the top of the standings. Then they showed a little bit of fight, a little bit of fire that I don't know if anybody knew that they possessed in order to stay on top of the standings up until the final week of the season. A big win against UT Arlington to clinch a double bye in a top 2 seed. Unfortunately, though, going to Georgia State, a tough test for anyone. They can't quite pull off the 1 seed.
I think one of the biggest things that Georgia Southern's done this year that impressed me was the way they've played defense. Maybe not so much in that Georgia State game, but throughout the year they really did well. Let's get out and see some highlights from the UT Arlington game and the trip to Atlanta to take on Georgia State. Senior night for Georgia Southern, the Eagles hosting UT Arlington, the visitors with the early lead. Anthony Walker finishing on the alley-oop. Later it's Lonnie McClanahan coming up with the hoop and one, 8-0 UTA. But the Eagles clawing their way back. Curtis Diamond, the long 2. Later Trent Wiedemann will spot Jelani Hewitt, the senior, with 3 of his 18 in the game. Again, back come the visitors. Jamel Outler, 3 of his 23 in the game. UTA up 14, but the Eagles not going away. Hewitt buries another 3. Then Hewitt on the break ahead to Mike Hughes, who drives in for the off-balance reverse. The comeback continues as Wiedemann hits the 15-footer. More from Hughes as he somehow manages to hit this one and draw the foul. Hughes with 16 points, and finally it's Ferguson coming up with the jam. The Eagles come back to win 76-64. Saturday in Atlanta, a hot ticket, the Sun Belt title on the line. Georgia State hosting Georgia Southern. Trent Wiedemann, the early bucket, but the Panthers with the lead. Curtis Washington, 2 of his 12. Back come the Eagles. Curtis Diamond rings up the 3-pointer. The Eagles with 12 turnovers, and Ryan Harrow makes them pay going in for the layup here. They'd have 16 points off turnovers. Again, back come the Eagles. Hewitt for 3. Later, Wiedemann spots up from 15 feet away. Back outside we go, and Mike Hughes off the glass. The lead cut to 5, but another turnover results in 2 more points. R.J. Hughes, the reverse, he'd have 35 points. Georgia State up 11 at the half. Moving ahead to the second half, and more from Hughes. The Eagles unable to slow him down. Southern fighting back. Hewitt 3 more of his 17 points in the game. Wiedemann later from 15. He'd have 15 points as well. More from Wiedemann. The fadeaway off the glass. Hewitt later will bury another from behind the arc. And then it's Curtis Diamond's turn. The Eagle faithful on hand. Excited. The lead cut to 4 midway through the second half. But the Panthers then go on a run. Isaiah Dennis showing his hang time. And then it's the little guy up again. The hoop and one. And the Eagles fall 72-55.
With more than 100 years of experience under one roof, Complete Car Care on 207 Northside Drive can do it all for your car or truck, gas or diesel, even hybrids, motors, tune-ups, front end, air conditioning, transmissions, electrical. Complete Car Care does it all. When others say no, Complete Car Care says yes. Come see what Michael and his team can do for you at Complete Car Care, 207 Northside Drive.
Franklin Toyota is jump-starting 2015 with our biggest savings ever.
Drive Corollas with 0 APR plus a $1,000 military discount.
Find it at franklintoyota.com. Hurry, everything's on sale at Franklin Toyota in Statesboro.
All right, Mike. Regular season behind them, postseason ahead. Fortunately for them, they have to only win 2 games. You say only, but there's probably going to be some pretty good competition up here. And I would say in the Sun Belt, everybody has beaten everybody as you get ready to play in the tournament. It's a kind of a cliche, but I wouldn't be surprised to see pretty much anybody come out of this, although it would be a little tougher if you've got to play an additional day or 2.
And definitely good news for the depth-depleted Eagles that they won't have to play 3 or possibly 4 games in a row, just needing the 2. As of right now, they don't quite know who to prepare for. South Alabama, Arkansas, Little Rock, UL Monroe, all in the mix to be the Saturday opponent in the semifinal, and then you can really open it up if they would make it to the final as to who would be waiting. However, you mentioned the parity. It's got to do a lot for the confidence of the Eagles. Every team in the tournament bracket they've beaten at least once this year, so you say that any team can win on any given day. The Eagles have actually proven it on the court against anyone they're going to run up against.
Yes, that is true. Troy is not in the tournament.
Dodged the bullet.
They're the only team that had swept the Eagles this year. Let's get out and see what the players and Coach Byington had to say about heading to New Orleans for the tournament.
Well, the great thing about the tournament is it's a fresh start. Everybody's 0-0. The records from the regular season doesn't matter. So our guys just need to come in and, like I said, just have a fresh start. Just be excited just to be at the tournament. And like I said, we had the chance. We got the double bye. So our guys, I'm looking forward for us to come out with a lot of energy on Saturday.
Excited. We finished the season with a bad taste in our mouth, and we're really ready, to get rid of that taste and just go get a couple wins. Not winning the regular season, it hurt, but at the same time, we can't dwell on that. We just got to focus on the future. We still have a double bye, finished number 2, and only have to win 2 games, so we feel really good about where we are right now.
Everybody is very focused. We're very well together. Losing to Georgia State is a bad loss for us, but it gave us an edge on our shoulder to go out here and be able to play these next couple of games that we have and just look at it as a one-game season right now. So that's what we're going to use as fuel to the fire to try to win this Sun Belt Championship.
Proud of the guys. And I like this group from the first time we got together really this summer. And they have great chemistry. They work very hard. They're fun to be around. They like being around each other. So every day with them has been a great. And, in basketball, you go through highs and lows. And we go through the highs together. Those have been great. And even the lows and trying to pull ourselves out and regroup have been great. So a very fun group. Well, tournament basketball is different, and the more tournament game experience you have, the better. So whether it's Southern Conference or another conference, it's still pressure basketball. And it's winter, you go home, and guys have been there before. A couple guys had some experience last year. He won 2 games in the Southern Conference tournament. Trent Wiedemann's played in a lot of conference games. He's been in a couple of conference championships. So I'm going to lean on those guys' experience. Those guys can tell the other guys what it's going to be like, and we'll try to prep them as coaching staff the best we can.
And that game, 4:30 Eastern time start, 3:30 over there in New Orleans, and that game is on ESPN3. Championship game on Sunday is on ESPN2. Well, let's move on to baseball, Mike, where Georgia Southern continues to roll right along on the weekend series and struggle a little bit during the midweek. To say the least, against Georgia Tech. But let's get back to some good news over the weekend, a 3-game sweep against App.
a 3-game sweep against a rival, more importantly, a 3-game sweep against a conference opponent in the first weekend of conference play. That puts the Eagles right where they're used to being in every other sport this year, right at the top, tied with Lafayette, who won the conference last year. Those are the only two Sun Belt teams that swept in the first weekend. The Eagles getting strong pitching performances again from Evan Challenger and Trip Shepard, who really seems to be settling into a weekend starter role. That's a good thing because, as you mentioned, after the weekend, not a whole lot of options there for pitching. They've been struggling. Matt Geiger, he had shown some promise early on, but he got touched up a little bit against Georgia Tech. After that, the Eagles just kind of biting and clawing their way through the game. A couple guys taking one for the team, trying to get to this weekend when they have another conference series, this time on the road for the first time in Sun Belt play at Troy.
All right, well, let's get back and see some highlights from Georgia Southern and App State. The Georgia Southern baseball team opening up Sun Belt Conference action with a 3-game series against App State. Game 1 Friday on the mound, Evan Challenger dealing, allowing only 1 run in 5 innings. He'd get some offensive help early. Spencer Duffy, the double to right. He wouldn't be there long as he'd come home moments later. Aaron Mizell drives this one to right center. This good for a triple. In comes Duffy, and it's 1-0 Georgia Southern. Next up, Charles Sheffield, and his slow roller to the left side will bring home Mizell. He legs out the single, and it's 2-0 Georgia Southern. The visitors strike for a run in the second. A great grab at first by Ryan Cleveland, but the runner scores, and it's 2-1 Georgia Southern. On the mound, Challenger keeps the Mountaineer bats in check. App eventually takes a late lead, but the Eagles come back in the 9th to win 5-4. Saturday would be another 1-run Eagle victory, leading us to Sunday, and Georgia Southern looking for another sweep. The Eagles waste no time scoring. Logan Baldwin, the RBI single up the middle, plates Ryan Cleveland, and it's 1-0 Georgia Southern. A couple batters later, the always exciting bases loaded walk to Spencer Duffy, and it's 2-0. That would be followed by the almost as exciting fielder's choice off the bat of Aaron Mizell, which plates Baldwin and makes it 3-0. On the mound, Connor Simmons, an impressive 6 1/3 innings, no runs and 8 strikeouts, but no decision. App again comes back to tie the game in the 9th, but the Eagles able to win it in the 10th, completing the sweep with the victory thanks to Hunter Thomas. 6-5, Georgia Southern on top. And as you mentioned it, Mike, next up for the Eagles, 3-game series on the road at Troy coming up this weekend. Well, that'll wrap things up for Mike Anthony. I'm Josh Aubrey. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you again next week.